Today, I am diving into one of the most gut-wrenching tales of unchecked evil and desperate rebellion from India's underbelly. A story that exposes the raw scars of caste, corruption, and the justice system that too often fails the voiceless. Meet Akku Yadav, a monster who turned a slum into his personal hell, preying on the most vulnerable Dalit families while the law looked the other way. His crimes are so vile they inspired a Netflix show called Indian Predator in a Courtroom, a series that left viewers and me reeling. But what happened to him in the end? It's the kind of twist that makes you question everything about right and wrong. Stick around till the end. This isn't just about a killer or a it's about a community's breaking point. Let's unravel how a promising kid from Nagpur spiraled into the terror of Kasturba Nagar. In the early 80s, a dusty corner of Nagpur, Maharashtra, Bharat Kalicharan Yadav, better known as Akku, a nickname from a teasing house helper, grew up in a family that stood out in the shadows of Kasturba Nagar slum. While his Dalit neighbors scraped by as laborers, shunned by India's rigid caste system as untouchable, unworthy of even a shadow's touch, Akku's dad ran a thriving cattle business. Meals were hearty, clothes clean, and school, Akku shone there. Top grades, a charming smile, and teachers calling him a future star. Life hummed with promise. But promise has a cruel way of crumbling. In 7th grade, tragedy struck. His father dropped dead, leaving debts that swallowed their wealth like quicksand. 6 elder sisters were wedded off in rushed ceremonies, draining their every rupee. His brothers scattered, some to honest jobs, others drowned into the underworld's pool. As the youngest of the family, Akku watched hunger creep in. He quit school, chasing high from cheap ganja and gambling with street thugs. What started as petty pilfering, snatching fruits from carts for thrills, morphed into something darker. Armed with a knife, you'd shake down farmers, demanding money from folks who could barely afford rice. You might think a rough patch turns a boy bad, but this was the seed of an empire beyond fair. One shopkeeper named Pratibha felt it first. Her tiny grocery shop, propped outside her mud-walled home, was her lifeline, selling soap, spices, and dreams of better tomorrow. Akku screwed swagger in at noon under the blazing sun, grabbing handful without a coin. Pay up or bleed. You'd snare when Pratibha's husband, Dattu, tried to fight back. A punch to the stomach, a kick to the ribs. Dattu learned fast. If you resist, you will pay twice as much in pain. This wasn't random thuggery. It was planned and deliberate. Kasturba Nagar's Dalits are branded haram by caste hatred. Poor, powerless, and treated like criminals just for existing. By 1991, Akku's hunger for control twisted into pure savagery. His gang broke into a half-built shack looking for extortion money and stumbled on a young couple alone. The others wanted cash and wallets, but Akku fixed his eyes on the woman like a wicked hunter. Ignoring the boyfriend's scream, he and his men dragged her to the ground and her right there. Brutal, endless, the start of the nightmare. Police arrested him for molestation and theft, but Akku didn't crack. Jail became his school. He made friends with serious criminals, learned how bribes work, and walked out stronger than before. From there, the floodgates burst. Akku crowned himself king of Kasturba, and his gang became a pack of wolves in the night. Extortion evolved into invasions, kicking in the doors at dawn, rifles glinting, stripping homes for mobile, bikes, or just spite. But the women, they bore the worst. Akku saw Dalit girls not as daughters or wives, but playthings to crush spirits. Over a decade, reports piled up. Over 40 assaults. The youngest was disturbingly 1 years old, snatched from her bed. No mercy for age, vows, or solemn bellies. One victim named Kalma, just 10 days after giving birth, her body still healing. Akku's man stormed in her own sheets. The shame, the agony, it snapped her. She doused herself in stuck and burned away the pain. Gone, leaving a husband to bury whispers of her fault. Imagine the fear that gripped Kasturba Nagar. Mother gave secret knocks on doors and whispered Akku's shadow to quietly move their daughters from house to house like fugitives. Kids were pulled out of school, kept locked inside after sunset, and doors bolted tight like prisons. Fathers sat with clenched fists around empty bottles, drowning their helplessness as their world fell apart. Why us? They would whisper. Caste was the real chain. When Dalits reports a crime, they got beaten. Upper castes, just a warning slap. Akku knew it, weaponized it. He stayed paranoid. If he saw a group of boys, he would scatter them with blades. Even neighbors having tea were attacked. He crushed every gathering, terrified that they were plotting against him. The police weren't just lazy, they were on the payroll. Akku brought their silence with booze and bribes. When a victim finally spoke up, the officers didn't just ignore her. They attacked her to protect their business partner. Akku's 14 arrests were a joke. He walked free every time because the guards were his drinking buddies. Evil doesn't just happen, it's sponsored. The people of Kasturba Nagar lived in utter terror. They never knew when their daughters, sisters, or wives would become the next victim of Akku Yadav. Families stopped sending their daughters to school. By 6 p.m., doors and windows were slammed shut, and no one dares to step outside after dark. Over 20 entire families packed up and left Kasturba Nagar forever rather than lived under his constant threat. But cracks formed in Akku's throne. Enter firebrands like Asha Bhagat, known as Asha Bai, a bold woman who sold liquor in the slum. She helped feed the hungry, assisted the poor, and stood up for anyone who was beaten or threatened. Her business also gave her connection to powerful people. She was probably the only person Akku truly feared. Residents say he was intimidated by her courage. She didn't back down. She rallied men in secret midnight huddles. End him or watch our girls vanish one by one. When things got unbearable, Asha orchestrated an attack on Akku, gathering a few brave locals to strike back. Their ambush failed. Akku somehow fled with a head wound, saved by a blood transfusion from his close friend Avinash Tiwari. How did Akku repay that gratitude? You will know that shortly. Avinash was friends with everyone. He stayed loyal to Akku, but he also treated his Dalit neighbors as equal, including Asha, with whom he chatted over chai like old friends. Akku didn't like that at all. When his jealousy exploded over that friendship, he snapped. In 1997, Akku and Avinash started arguing on the street about this matter. The fight quickly escalated into a physical brawl. Akku pulled a knife and brutally stabbed Avinash to death in broad daylight. That betrayal fueled Asha's rage. She shouted, "What did you do to your savior?" Akku shouted back, "Next time it will be you." He spent the next 2 years in jail for the of Avinash. After walking free, he struck back harder. On June 8, 1999, he and his men forced their way into Asha's home at night. In front of her 14-year-old daughter, he dragged Asha out, throat her ears for her earrings, did her breast, her fingers to steal rings, and left her body in on the street as a horrific warning. The young girl witnessed it all, frozen in terror. Kasturba Nagar lost its guardian angel that night, the one woman who had dared challenge him openly. Asha's silenced many, but it also planted deeper seeds of fury. Yet, Ember still glowed. Usha Narayan, a determined 25-year-old Dalit woman studying hotel management, was home on vacation from her course when the horror hit close. Next door, Akku's gang attacked a neighbor named Ratna, a similar victim, and threatening her family into silence. The woman was too terrified to file a police complaint herself. Usha, sharp and unafraid, urged her to speak up. When fair won, Usha marched through the station alone and filed the report on her behalf. The police, corrupt as ever, tipped off Akku immediately. That same night, around midnight, Akku and about 40 armed men surrounded Usha's small one-room family home. They banged on the door, shouting threats of acid attack to disfigure her face, followed by and just like Ashabai. Acid vials glinted in the dark. Neighbors peeked through cracks, heart racing, too scared to help. Usha refused to open up. Instead, she dragged her household cooking cylinder right to the threshold, slashed the hose with a knife, released the fumes that choked the air, and held up a match. "Come in if you dare," she called out calmly. "One spark, and we all burn together. Me, you, the whole street." Bluff or not, the smell of gas and her ice-cold stare made them hesitate. Doubt crept in. They backed off, muttering curses as they retreated into the shadows. That single act of defense was the thunderclap that Kasturba Nagar people needed. Door creaked open across the slum. Women and men grabbed sticks, stones, anything at hand. The tide turned. Akku's men fled in panic. The next day, the community marched, celebrated their small victory, and then torched Akku's home to ashes. He ran to the police for protection, the ultimate irony, and was locked up on August 7, 2004. From behind bars, he still barked threats. "I will school every bitch here on release." 500 people stormed the court that day, chili dust flying everywhere. Akku had finally pushed them past their limit. They were furious, boiling with rage. He smirked through it all, thinking he was untouchable. Or so he thought. August 13th dawned like Judgment Day. Whispers spread through Kasturba. Bell hearing today, miles away from the mob. But rage carries word fast. Hundreds, mostly women, faces carved with 10 years of pain, marched to Nagpur District Court Number 7. Vegetable sickles hidden in their saris, chili pouches gripped like weapons. They slipped in quietly, taking the front rows on the marble floor. Akku walked in handcuffs, still cocky, and spotted one of his past victims. "Horror," he sneered. "I will finish what I started." Laughter came from him, from the half-asleep corpse. Her chappal smashed into his skull first. "You or me, one of us lives today," she snarled, eyes burning. The dam broke. 200 people surged forward, blades flashing, stones flying. Chili powder blinded the guards. They ran, forgetting their badges. Akku thrashed and begged, "Mercy, please no more." It was useless. The women took turns, each reclaiming a stolen breath, a broken life. 70 deep, his face to nothing, his penis is in raw fury. 15 minutes later, he slumped dead. 32-year ended in his own blood. The mob kept going, kicks to the corpse, carrying the echoes of Kalma's fire and Asha's scream. Chaos took over. Then 5 women were arrested right after the lynching. But the slum erupted. Arrest us all. 400 people, women leading the charge, husbands chanting beside them, surrounded the police station, refusing to back down until their sisters walked free. On August 18, 2004, the Nagpur District Court granted bail to those 5 women accused in Akku Yadav's, releasing them on personal bond amid massive protests and cheers from the crowd. Politicians rushed in to milk the moment for votes, spinning it chaos or heroism. But the real story cut deeper. No gang war, just ordinary people pushed beyond breaking after years of ignored cries and corrupt protection. The police initially tried to paint it as gang feud, But the Maharashtra State CID took over the probe and confirmed what the slum already knew. This was raw desperation, not rivalry. Over the years, arrests piled up, starting with those 5, then more kept rounded up in waves as the investigation dragged on. But the evidence kept slipping away. 21 suspects in total, including 6 women, faced charges under and rioting sections. 3 died during the long trial, but the rest, 18 remaining, walked free by November 2014. The judge acquitted them all, citing no clinching proof, unreliable witnesses, and lapses in the police case. Evidence vanishing like the bribes that had shielded Akku for so long. A judge noted that Akku's body reeked of alcohol, thanks to the friendly guards who supplied it to him in jail. Retired Justice Bhav Behan said it plainly that they had no choice left. The police fell on deaf ears. Leaves a stain that doesn't wash away. Taking justice into your own hands creates new monsters. Yet, stop and think. How many cries for help get ignored before anger explodes into a storm? How long must hundreds of Dalit daughters, silenced mothers, suffer knives in the dark while the people meant to protect them take bribes instead? If the police in Nagpur had stopped Akku early, would Kalma still be alive? Would Asha's laughter still ring out? This isn't Akku's story, it's Kasturba's roar. It shows chains can break not by the powerful, but by the broken rising up. Unity born from ashes. Strength rising from the shadow of. In their story, see the fire we need to demand change for every slum, every unheard cry. That's it for today. If the story moved you, please drop a like and share your thoughts below. Hit the subscribe button for more true crimes. Until next time, stay safe, stay vigilant.